Have you ever caught yourself thinking about someone so often that it almost feels as if they never truly leave you? You wake up and they are already in your mind. You try to focus on work, but their face quietly appears in your thoughts. At night, before sleep takes over, your mind begins replaying conversations that happened months ago, or even conversations that never happened at all. You imagine different endings, different words, different possibilities. It feels like they are living inside your head, even if they are no longer part of your life. Carl Jung believed that the greatest mysteries of our lives are rarely found outside us. They are hidden within the unconscious mind. According to Jung, when someone occupies too much space in your thoughts, it is not always because of who they are. Sometimes it is because they have awakened something inside you that has been waiting to be seen for years. The person becomes more than a person. They become a psychological symbol. They become a mirror reflecting forgotten desires, hidden fears, unmet emotional needs, and pieces of yourself that you have never fully understood. This is why logic often fails. Your friends tell you to move on. Your family tells you to forget them. Even you know that thinking about them changes nothing. Yet the thoughts keep returning, stronger than before. The more you try to push them away, the more powerful they become. Jung would say that what you resist does not disappear. It sinks deeper into the unconscious, where it quietly gains strength until it finds another way to return. But here's the question that almost nobody asks. What if the real problem isn't that you can't stop thinking about them? What if the real question is why your unconscious refuses to let them go? Because once you understand that answer, everything changes. The obsession begins to lose its grip. The emotional confusion starts making sense, and you realize that the person who seemed to control your mind may never have been the true source of your suffering at all. In today's journey, we are going beyond ordinary relationship advice and stepping into the fascinating world of Carl Jung's psychology, where every obsession hides a message, every emotional attachment has a deeper purpose, and every person who refuses to leave your mind may actually be leading you toward the parts of yourself you have forgotten. And what you are about to discover might completely change the way you understand love, attachment, memory, and even your own identity. Carl Jung introduced one of the most powerful ideas in psychology: projection. It is the unconscious process of placing parts of yourself onto another person without realizing it. Imagine looking into a mirror covered with invisible paint. You believe you are seeing the other person clearly, but in reality, much of what you see belongs to you. This is why someone can become unforgettable after only a short interaction, while another person who spent years with you leaves almost no emotional trace. It is rarely about time. It is about what your unconscious has attached to them. Perhaps they made you feel accepted in a way you never experienced as a child. Perhaps they represented the confidence you secretly wished you had. Perhaps they awakened hope at a moment when your life felt empty. Without noticing it, your mind began weaving a story around them, adding meanings they never consciously promised to fulfill. Slowly, they stopped being just another human being and became the center of an emotional universe, created inside your own psyche. This is why separation feels so painful. You are not only losing the person, you are losing the future you imagined with them, the version of yourself you believed could finally exist because of them, and the emotional fantasy your unconscious carefully built over time. Jung warned that whenever we project our inner world onto another person, we surrender part of our own identity. Instead of discovering those qualities within ourselves, we chase them outside, believing someone else holds the key to our happiness. The tragedy is that no human being can carry the weight of another person's unconscious expectations forever. Eventually, reality appears. They disappoint you, leave you, change, or simply fail to become the perfect image your mind created. Yet even then, your thoughts refuse to stop. Why? Because your unconscious is not searching for them, it is searching for the missing pieces of you that you unknowingly handed over to them. Every memory becomes another attempt to recover those lost pieces. Every replayed conversation is your psyche trying to solve a puzzle that logic cannot explain. And until you understand this hidden mechanism, you may spend years believing you are trapped by another person, when in truth you are trapped by a story your unconscious continues to tell. The moment you realize that the image living in your mind is partly your own creation, the illusion begins to crack. You stop asking, "Why can't I forget them?" and start asking a far more powerful question. What part of myself did I see in them that I have never learned to find within me? That single question marks the beginning of psychological freedom, because from that point forward, your journey is no longer about chasing another person. It becomes a journey back to yourself. If projection explains why someone enters your mind so deeply, it still doesn't explain why they refuse to leave. Long after the relationship ends, or perhaps long after the possibility of one disappears, you may find yourself trapped in an endless cycle of memories, imagined conversations, and unanswered questions. Carl Jung believed the unconscious mind does not think the way the conscious mind does. It is not interested in moving on simply because time has passed. Instead, it remains attached to anything emotionally unfinished. Every unresolved feeling becomes like an open door in the psyche, quietly inviting your attention back again and again. This is why you can suddenly remember someone after hearing a familiar song, walking past a certain place, or even catching a particular scent in the air. Your conscious mind believes the memory appeared randomly, but your unconscious has been carrying it the entire time, patiently waiting for the smallest trigger. The more intense the emotion, the deeper the memory settles within you. Yet what keeps the cycle alive is not always love. Sometimes it is guilt over what you never said. Sometimes it is regret over the opportunities you missed. Sometimes it is anger that never found a voice. And often, it is the desperate need for closure from someone who was never capable of giving it. We convince ourselves that if they would only explain their actions, apologize, or come back for one final conversation, we could finally find peace. But Jung would argue that this belief quietly hands your inner freedom to another person. It assumes your healing depends on their behavior rather than your own awareness. As long as your peace requires someone else's action, your mind remains emotionally chained to them. This is why countless people stay attached for years, not because the relationship still exists, but because the unconscious continues, searching for an ending that reality may never provide. Ironically, every attempt to force yourself to stop thinking about them often strengthens the attachment. The unconscious interprets resistance as importance. The harder you fight the thought, the louder it becomes, as though your own mind is insisting that you have overlooked something essential. Jung saw this as a signal rather than a punishment. The recurring thoughts are not your enemy. They are messages asking to be understood. They continue returning because they carry an emotional truth that has not yet reached consciousness. The moment you stop asking, "How do I erase this person from my mind?" and begin asking, "What unfinished part of me is still speaking through this memory?" the entire experience begins to transform. What once felt like an endless prison slowly becomes an invitation to understand yourself more deeply than ever before. Because sometimes the person living in your mind is not there to haunt you. They are there to reveal the parts of your soul that have been waiting silently to be healed.